Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Daily Dose. One for all is love, the Daily Dose with Sonya Spirit. And today's topic is authority and obedience. And I know that I was going to talk about or say, carry the discussion on frequency, but all of this ties together, okay? All of this ties together, and hopefully you'll understand. Okay, so today is Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. Okay, so today is, I think, a 5 day, a 5 day. All right, so authority and obedience, Stanley Milgram. Okay, so I had made a comment and got a little bit of backflux, so to speak. The comment that I made, what was the difference between a human and a clone? A clone knows that it is programmed. Okay. Anyway, I see the humor in it. Okay, but to expound on this, so there was this experiment in 1963, I believe. Stanley Milgram. I'm not going to get into all the details, but basically, so the experiment consisted of three components, okay, or three people. You had the, who was it? The subject, we'll call him the subject. Well, yeah, we'll call him the subject. Then we'll have the authority figure, and uh, then we'll have the mark. Okay, so the subject is the one receiving voltage. The mark is the one who's actually being studied. Okay, and is also providing the voltage. And then the authority figure is the one who the mark is under the impression is conducting the experiment, who is responsible for the outcome, who is the authority figure for the experiment. Okay, so you got these three people components though, and those are their roles. Now everybody's aware of each other's role except the mark, of course. The mark thinks that he is there. He responded to an ad, and the ad was paying him to be a part of an experiment, some study. I don't know. Don't make me lie. You have to look it up. But anyway, so he signed up for it. Now he thinks he's a part of this experiment. Like I said, there's the authority figure who's giving him all his directions and instructions and what the expectations, and then there's the subject to the mark. As far as the mark is concerned, he's a subject, so that's what we're gonna call him, the subject who's receiving the voltage. He's the other part of the experiment, so the mark thinks. Okay, but okay, so anyway, you get it. All right, so and what it boiled down to was, so each time the subject had to answer some questions, and each time the subject got it wrong, he would be given voltage, 15 watts of voltage, and incrementally it went up for each wrong, incorrect answer by 15, voltage, watts of voltage, whatever. Anyway, so, and of course, each time that, he was given this voltage or so, the mark thought he was he was sending out this voltage to the subject would scream so that there's the connection. So anyway, but like I said, it's the mark who's being set up here. And even so, there were different marks, and it didn't matter because at the end of the day, when they were in conflict with what they were doing, when their consciousness was in conflict with what they were doing, they basically looked to the authority figure who told them that they needed to continue, that it was necessary that they move on, that the voltage, it's not, basically it was like two or three excuses that he had, or statements that he made, but he just said it with conviction because he's the authority figure. And of course, the mark would go ahead and continue and distribute the voltage in his mind to the subject. And the subject is screaming for his or her life, okay? I suspect they were all men at this time. This was 63. But anyway, but of course, it's the mark who is the subject because they were studying obedience and authority. As long as someone was willing to be the authority figure, appear to be, the leader, the responsible party, okay, someone that they could point to and say, he made me do it, people would follow through with even extending pain to one another. Okay. So it's really interesting because, of course, it leads back to, I think part of what prompted that study was everything that took place in Germany with the Jews, and how could, these people go through with this, blah, 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 blah. And, it's a great study on social psychology. But at the end of the day, what it boils down to from a spiritual perspective is, yes, people are most definitely programmed and have been, but that's another story. Another great movie that just basically comes out and talk about programming is The Manchurian Candidate. It's from a political, geopolitical perspective. But I mean, it's a remake. So you got two versions. You got the 60s Frank Sinatra version, and then I think you got the early 2000s Denzel Washington version. But at any rate, both of them are good. I enjoyed them both. But so programming has taken place, and this is not about MK Ultra, but if you know about that, then you know where that goes. Okay. But what I want people to understand is, forget about the boogie monster and the conspiracy theories. And believe me, I'm the biggest conspiracy person there ever was. But that's not important anymore. So yes, know that between those frequencies of 100 and 500, when I was talking about fear and love yesterday, there's a lot of activity. There's a lot of emotion between those two levels. You have, like I said, fear operating at about 100 hertz, so to speak, and love at 500 hertz. And but in between fear and love, you have desire, anger, pride, courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, even reason, and then love. Okay. So I'm thinking, once you get to love, because love is, love, evil can't operate at that level. Okay. Fear can't operate at that level. Okay, so once you get to love, that's where like duality or polarity cease to exist. That is a unification with God or spirit. Okay, and basking in that. And like I said, we're not good at being at that level, because when we fall into love, we also make sure we drop ourselves out of love. Okay, enough of my thespian skills. So, but the key here with Stanley Milgram that I wanted to bring up is that we need to be mindful and cognizant of the conditions, the programs that we do have in us. Okay, listen, this, like I say, this can be as easy and or difficult as you make it. However long, like I said, however far and however fast you go is completely up to you. If this is going to take a long time, it's going to take a long time, and you got to deal with that too. Especially, you know what I'm saying? Because if you're grappling with this change and understanding it, if it's necessary for you to understand it, and I wrote something the other day. Let me see if I can find it. So anyway, I guess I can't. But so anyway, I wrote something the other day that talked about the difference between acceptance and understand and accept. Okay, so are you the type of person who can accept and then understand, or are you the type of person who understand, then you can accept? Or are you a situational person? It basically is based on a situation. If there's an emergency or urgency or something that, life or death threatening situation, you have to accept and comprehend later on, because time is of the essence. If we wait for you to process something, or if you wait for you to process something, you might not live. So, but the difference is, which one is your natural state? Which one is your natural state? I guess is where I'm going with that. Are you, are you an accept change type of person and be like trying to figure out, okay, so why are we here now? Why am I having this experience? So it's basically, yeah, I've accepted it. You know what I'm saying? So now help me digest it, comprehend it. What am I? How am I supposed to learn and grow? Or are you a person who has to understand, and before you can accept it, before you can accept the experience? And now this, what my perspective, that's all this is. My perspective is, understanding before you accepting may create unnecessary resistance. Okay. It will prolong accepting it. Okay. And part of, when you want to get into harmony and be in fluidity and harmony and, and flow with the nature's energy, and you want to roll with God, you know what I'm saying? And be of service. That's what I'm saying. When I say roll with God, listen, I'm not being blasphemous or cocky or anything like that. I'm talking about making yourself of service, foregoing your will, submitting your will to God's will, being of service to God. Okay. See, now you made me get serious. It was so much funnier when it was funny. Anyway, okay, so but that's the difference between accepting and understanding. So learn to, because when you want to get into harmony, listen, God is not waiting for you to comprehend something. I mean, you can take your time. However, that's not flowing with harmony. You get what I'm saying? So just be mindful of that. That's all I'm saying. And so I forgot where that was going, but this might be a good place to wrap it up. So just be mindful of your own personal programming. Okay. Be your own authority. Okay. We have all the power. I have all my power. You have all of your power. And all of our power is actually interrelated, and it's all connected to source. So that's the beautiful thing. However, we got to learn to work together, people. We can do it. All right, that's all I have. Happy Tuesday. Talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye. Love you. Bye.